Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, this is going to be short. I don't really have a lot of notes. It's more just either things, jokes I understand now that I'm older watching this movie, because there's actually a lot of those. I'm kind of surprised with some of the jokes this movie was able to get away with, but also just kind of notes about it in general. Uh, so, this is a movie I remember watching as a kid, and I'd say it's still one of my favorite DreamWorks movies, honestly. It's just really funny. Um, and I haven't seen it in years, actually. That's the crazy thing. Not since I was like really, really little, is what I mean. I mean, more of like, um, probably since I was in like my teens. I can remember being on vacation and watching this on DVD, and that was the last time I had seen it. But the thing is, and it's not like I watched this over and over and over when I was a kid either. I've probably only seen this like 3 or 4 times, probably. But it's so funny and it's just so good that it's like really ingrained in my brain to the point where I remembered a lot of the lines. I didn't remember like everything, like how they ended up on the island and stuff. But it's like as things were happening, I knew like how the scenes were gonna play out and a lot of the lines, and even like a lot of just how a lot of the words are pronounced and stuff too. Some of them are almost what is it called, like vocal stems or something, where it's like you remember it really well or you say it a lot or something. And it's to the point with this DVD, because yeah, this movie came out in 2005, where I have a lot of the like I had all the commercials memorized too. It was kind of crazy. And also watching the commercials, I was thinking like, man, even like the trailers and stuff, they're just not like this anymore. Like this one's, I'm gonna actually just talk about the commercials that are on this DVD for a little bit, and then I'll talk about the movie. It starts with this really, really long ad for Over the Hedge, which that's another good movie actually. I wouldn't mind watching that again sometime. I've seen that one less than Madagascar. I didn't grow up with Over the Hedge. I mostly remember Over the Hedge more from the commercials in like these DVDs than the actual movie itself. But yeah, Over the Hedge, kind of like this one, has like it's got like a really stacked cast and everything. Um, and now I kind of want to watch it. And there's a commercial. It kind of used to scare me on the DVD actually. Or not like scare, but it was just kind of weird to me. It's one not for a movie, but for like sound or something. It's like Curious George, and he's hearing all these noises, and he's opening all these doors, and there's like a part of it where he's opening like a million doors at once, and it gets really noisy, and I didn't like it. And it's not like a commercial. Well, it probably is a commercial for the Curious George movie, but it isn't listed like within that ad. Like Curious George is there, and then there's like a some kind of sound company logo that's revealed, but it doesn't have anything that's like Curious George coming soon or anything like that. The name isn't listed. So I remember seeing that when I was younger, and like I knew who Curious George was, and but I didn't know what he had to do with the sound company or why that ad. It was just like always a really weird ad for me within that DVD. And the funny thing is, on other DVDs around this time, like ones that I had seen, there was ads for like a Curious George movie that I think is from 2006, and the animation of that looks beautiful actually, like the art style of it. I've never seen it, and now I feel like I need to, just because I saw it advertised so much when I was younger. Um, and then I don't remember the other. I think those are like the main two that I remember. Actually, I think there's one for like one more movie, but yeah, the narrator for a lot of those, like, it's not even just like kids movies in the early 2000s, but it's like 90s movies, early 2000s. It's like a very specific narrator. It always sounds like it's just one guy, and you just never have that anymore. And I kind of miss that. Anyway, talking about Madagascar, yeah, it's a really funny movie. I want to talk about the soundtrack really quick because I feel like I recognized like every single song. And the funny thing is with some of the songs is like I knew them from this movie and not from other stuff. And some of them it's like I only kind of know now, but I remembered them being in the movie. It's kind of weird. Like they have an instrumental to Boogie Wonderland, for example, At the part, uh, I think when the zoo's opening and all of the people come in and stuff, and it's an instrumental, and I didn't know like the actual words to the song or anything until like fairly recently because of the Just Dance game. So I was hearing that again in here, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I finally know what song this is. I always thought of it like, yeah, it's that instrumental in that one part of Madagascar. They have the song New York, New York. I didn't know the song New York, New York either, which is a bummer because like it's an important song within the movie and the characters, and also because it takes place in New York. And I finally watched the movie New York, New York. I think like 2 years ago or something. So like I know the song now. I mean, I also know there's like the Frank Sinatra version of it too. Um, oh man, that's another. I don't think I'd ever watch that movie again, New York, New York. But I think it's absolutely worth it for the performance of that song towards the end. It's my favorite part of that whole movie. There's that Candyman song in this part. It's like really trippy actually. That was, I think, animation wise, one of my like favorite parts of the movie, when Alex ends up getting hit with the tranquilizer dart in the butt, and it starts this like kind of trippy bit where it's like the patterns of his friends are like more of like abstract shapes. Like there's this one part where like Melman is dancing in it, and his draft patterns, his like spots or whatever, turn into a bunch of buildings like it's New York. And I thought visually that looked really cool, honestly. I think I kind of appreciate that sequence more, but it's kind of funny because it has that Candyman song, which that one I only know from like Willy Wonka anyway. Um, and then Alex gets hit with the tranquilizer dart again when they end up in going back to New York, and it's all the people saying like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna ship them away into the wild and stuff." And then the he gets hit with the tranquilizer, and then the sequence starts again, but it's like completely sped through. Like they didn't need to do stuff like that, but it's just really funny to me. It's also funny to me that there's that whole little bit in the movie where they're saying like, "Oh yeah, we have to ship them back into the wilderness and stuff." And then they end up in Madagascar. I mean, I don't think they were gonna go to they were gonna be shipped to Africa, but then they end up in Madagascar. Um, and then I think it is cool that the sequel, the second movie, because I always forget this is a trilogy. They go to Africa, and I want to watch the sequel. Actually, I've seen all three of these movies. This one is my favorite of the trilogy. Um, but I remember the sequel having like some funny parts too. I feel like I need to give it another shot. I probably liked it, but I feel like with the trilogy, they're just never really as funny compared with like this one. And it's like this is the time when you're like hearing all the jokes are being introduced. I think it's some of the same jokes in like the other sequels, and then there's like a third one where they go to the circus, and I literally only remember that really really annoying song that Marty sings. That was in all the commercials, and I remember, and they give Alex a love interest, I think, and I remember like not literally like nothing else of the circus movie. I mean, maybe it's actually good. I don't know. I'm curious if that's the one. I know there's at least one of these movies where there's this, I think, like French policewoman or something. Um, and I know she's a character that gets like memed and stuff. I've like seen her in memes, and I don't know which of these movies she's from. And then there's like the Penguins movie. I recently watched that. I don't think I did a review of it though. I don't remember. I think I was going to, and I changed my mind. But the Penguins movie is good, and then there's that. There's like an animated series of like, I mean these are animated. You know what I mean, of King Julian, and I remember I think it's called All Hail King Julian. I watched that I think when it came out. I think it used to be on like Nickelodeon, and I think from that you've learned like weird amounts of lore for the character more. I want to talk about the character more for a minute. Um, because I keep thinking every time I watch this movie. I mean, it wasn't something I was thinking about when I was little because I didn't know it existed, but I was thinking about it as I was watching this. I'm like, why is he so obsessed specifically with King Julian's feet? Like, they sort of make a big deal of this character having a foot fetish, and I'm like, what? And then it's also, he wants to be eaten as well. I didn't notice that until like this viewing of the movie, of like when there's that part when Alex ends up almost biting Marty, and all of the characters are like horrified and stuff, and they're scared because they're like gonna get eaten, and Mort is just like clapping and shit, and he's like really excited, or when he's gonna be potentially used as a sacrifice to Alex because Alex ends up going like crazy from hunger. Which I like the detail with his eyes, like he's in that state when his eyes go like really really blue and really they get really big, and Mort is shoved towards Alex and is like super hyped to get eaten or referred to as steak. Like the little dude just wants to get eaten so badly in this entire movie, and I never really thought about that too much until this time. Um, and then other stuff with characters, I never noticed as well how sarcastic Melman actually is. I didn't like. I remembered him being the one that's like kind of freaked out all the time, especially about his health. I do like that. There's a lot of those jokes at the beginning, but then they kind of lessen as he's like getting used to his environment and the situation he's in and stuff. Because I feel like if those kept going throughout the whole movie, they would have gotten like a little old. But yeah, he's more sarcastic than I remember. Like, there's literally one point when he like kind of quietly calls Alex an idiot, and I never really thought much of it or anything. I think that kind of makes me like him as a character more, honestly. And then I finally understand the joke about the toilet candy where Melman's in the bathroom and he goes, "Oh, look, there's these little sinks and they have soap that you can eat, but it's the toilet, the like the urinal things that are in the urinals, like obviously I'm not going to catch that when I'm younger. I know that in terms of the adult jokes, one of the ones that people talk about is the sugar honey iced tea, which I didn't even really think about until probably like in between this viewing and the last time I watched this movie. I think that's probably my favorite way in a kids movie where they've gotten away with saying shit. I like how even without the letters, the first letters of that phrase, spelling out shit, it's like within the context, that would be a moment where someone would say, "Oh shit," especially because it's like Marty is being chased by Alex, and you see the fear in his eyes, and he literally says, "Oh, sugar honey iced tea." It's like as much as they can get away with someone saying shit in a kids movie. And I remember when I watched this movie when I was younger, I didn't think anything of the sugar honey ice. Well, I thought like, okay, that's kind of a weird thing to say in this situation, but I never heard the word shit before when I was younger, so I didn't put it together. They also get away with hell. I like the way they get away with hell as well. That one I caught also when I was younger, but I didn't think like, oh, it's hell or whatever. When Alex spells out the word help with the pieces of the tree, and then the P falls and it just says help behind him. It's just really funny to me now. Um, it's like kind of violent with this, well, not like violent as like the things they show on screen, but I feel like with some of the lines I was thinking like, oh, how are they just able to get away with the character? And the characters all say some of this stuff like completely straight face too. Like, um, the lemurs when they're talking about the Fusa, they're just very casually telling the main group. So it's like something about like, oh yeah, we're gonna have our. I think it's like if Alex isn't there to help them, and what the Fusa have been doing of like eating them, it's like eating us and uh, tearing our limbs off, and I'm like, they're tearing your limbs off, or the penguins when they're being asked at the end, because Gloria's like, oh man, where are the people? I thought you guys were the people because the ship came back, and Skipper like just very casually tells her like, we killed them and ate their livers. And even though it's a joke, because she's like kind of freaked out, like, wait, what? And then he says like, oh, got you, haha, and reveals that like the people are fine, except for that part when they said about the slow boat to China. I thought that was supposed to be like, oh yeah, they're not okay. Um, but no, the fact that, even though he's kidding, the fact that he was still able to get away with saying this of like, yeah, we killed them and ate their livers, and it's like what? Throughout the movie, I was thinking like why. I mean, I know it's a kids movie and that, the characters are being eaten and they do talk about death. Like they do even have that montage of like the cute animals, um after the group separates from Alex, of being eaten. I remember seeing that when I was younger, and I never forgot about that one part of it where it's that baby duck that Marty tries to save, and then as soon as he puts it in the water thinking it's safe, it gets eaten by a crocodile. That kind of freaked me out when I was younger. Um, but I kept thinking throughout this of like, why don't they let Alex kill and eat the Fusa, and that would solve both problems? Because like the main problem, what causes him to get like separated from his group is that he hasn't eaten in 2 days and he's a carnivore and he's hungry. So if he ate the Fusa, that would fix the hunger problem. But also the Fusa are attacking the lemurs. I mean, eventually at the end he does scare the Fusa, and then the group ends up feeding him the fish. That's the thing. It's like treated as such a big deal in this of like, oh yeah, Alex is hungry and he's gonna probably eat everyone, if we don't do something. And then it's kind of like quickly solved at the end. Like the Fusa is treated as the more important thing, which I get it. They were gonna literally eat Marty, but it's just kind of tacked on the end of like, oh yeah, Alex hasn't eaten anything this whole time and he was gonna eat everyone, so they give him the fish and then he's fine. But I was also thinking like, I get it that he's a carnivore and he needs to eat meat and he's constantly um thinking about steak and stuff, but wouldn't Gloria also want to eat like hippos are really scary. Like if you've seen like footage and like know a little bit about hippos, out of the animal cast of this movie, the hippos would be the one that would scare me more than the lion or anyone else. And Gloria never tries to eat anyone, or anything. It's literally just Alex out of all of them that goes like wild or savage or whatever as they call it. Um, and I was thinking, like, man, if this movie was more realistic, Gloria would be the one I think they would be more afraid of. But no, she keeps her calm throughout the whole thing. I mean, I don't think they ever show her eating. Oh, man, I'm trying to remember. They have that one scene in the beginning. I always really like that scene where it's that kind of like almost elevator music a little bit. Where the group is being brought their meals, and Marty's brought grass, and Melman is brought just a bunch of pill bottles, which I find kind of funny, and Alex is brought steak, and Gloria is getting some kind of back massage, but I don't remember what she's brought to eat. Like I can't remember now. I don't think it's meat though. It's probably something else. That's like the one part of that sequence I actually can't remember right now. Um, but yeah, it feels different watching this, knowing a little bit about hippos. Uh, and then the one time in the movie when Alex is at least like kind of cool is when he scares the shit out of Marty as part of the act thing of trying to scare away the Fusa. It's like that part when his teeth are like right near Marty and Marty's like kind of freaked out. And I thought like, wow, this is a part where Alex actually seems really cool, and then it's immediately ruined by him telling Marty like, yeah, this is just an act. I'm not gonna eat you. You have to like play along and stuff. But any of the parts when like Alex goes kind of nuts and is like, and it reminds me of like, oh yeah, they're animals. Of course they would like kill each other, because it is a little silly at first of thinking like, yeah, the lion is friends with all of these animals. He would probably, especially the zebra that he would probably try to eat. Um, but you always just think like, yeah, it's a kids movie, whatever, this would happen. But I do like that like the main thing with the movie is he ends up, especially because they're in the wild and he hasn't eaten, um, that he would eat them and everything. Like I even noticed this detail. Like he doesn't usually use his claws because like he's always given steak. So there's like a part when he has his claws out and he can't retract them or anything, and it like keeps getting stuck on things. And I'm thinking like, yeah, you've probably never had to use these. You never had to like hunt or anything. Uh, what was I going to say? And then the penguins are pretty cool to watch too. I feel like they had like just the right amount of screen time being like side characters, but they're not really on the island till the end of the movie where you check in with them every once in a while where they're in Antarctica. I like that Private's the one that just says like, well, this sucks, and then they decide to leave. Like they reach their destination, they don't like it, and they go, um, they go trying to go somewhere else, and then the penguins deciding to save the group. I thought that was pretty nice. Like they sort of see them as like, okay, it's our job to go and rescue them. I was kind of I didn't really remember the whole sequence where they put uh private on top of the pole and stuff covered in the cherry, which I, with the amount of adult jokes in this movie, I thought it was going to turn into some like stripper act thing. I thought that's what it was supposed to be at first, but he's not like dancing on the pole. They're just kind of putting him there to like distract the Fusa, where he's just kind of standing there. But yeah, I thought the penguins, I didn't remember that part, so I thought the penguins were going to just be like waiting for the group to get back so they could go back on the boat. But no, they're like, okay, we got to go and save our monochromatic. I like that they always call Marty our monochromatic friend because he's has the black and white stripes. But it is kind of nice that they do. I feel like they leave room for a sequel in like a natural way of the group saying like, hey, we can make a couple stops along the way, or maybe come back to the island. I mean, they never come back to this island or anything. Um, but I like that they leave it open for the group can visit other places. They can come back to Madagascar eventually. Uh, but then they mention at the end of this movie that the boat is out of gas, and I don't remember how the sequel is, so I'm wondering how did they end up coming back? Unless, because they were gonna be shipped to Kenya. Was there like specific people that were waiting for them? Now I feel like I gotta find the sequel to know because I've only ever had just this one on DVD. When did the sequel come out? I'm asking that as not a serious question. I'm gonna Google that right now actually. Um, Madagascar. I do think it's kind of funny though that this movie. Oh, it's from 2008. That feels so weird because like there's not that much of a gap between these movies. But I remember when the second one came out in theaters, and I watched it in theaters. I watched the second and third in theaters actually, but not the first one. But the first one just seems older to me. I think it's because when it came out I was like too young to see it in theaters or to know that it was coming out or anything. It's always just been for me like, yeah, the movie that we've had on DVD for years. Oh, okay. Oh, this is neat. Okay, the second one is on Netflix. I want to watch it. I'll have to see if I uh can get my dad to watch it with me. Um, I'll see if I could watch it soon at some point because I do want to watch it. I remember I liked that one. It was fun. I just found this one funnier. I think my favorite joke in this movie actually, and I just find it's like a really funny shot in the movie as well, is when Melman asks where they are and they turn around and it shows the trees and stuff, which it's even funnier seeing that. Well, that's not the part that's funny to me. I'll get to it in a minute. It's even funnier seeing that part where it's like the zoom out where it's showing all the trees and the group is just standing there looking there because it's freaking exactly like Kirby in the Forgotten Land with the trailers where it just shows Kirby on the beach on this island that he's washed up on. It's like the exact same thing. And like Crash Bandicoot is also there, but now I see that part of the movie and I only think of that one part of Kirby in the Forgotten Land. But no, it's the part when and then it goes back to showing the characters facing like the camera, and Melman's head comes down and he's like really close to the camera and he just says San Diego because he thinks it's the San Diego Zoo. And that was always really funny to me. I think that's like the only time I've ever seen San Diego mentioned in a movie, and he mentions about like Shamu and SeaWorld and stuff. Or no, I think Alex is the one that mentioned it. But it's just the way that Melman says San Diego and his head is so close to the camera is what makes it really funny to me. That's the other thing with this movie too. I was wondering if it was like originally supposed to be in 3D or if that's just how the movie is, because there is a suspicious amount of times in the movie when a character is really really close to like the camera and stuff, or like they're flung into it in the same way as like a 3D movie would. It's like 3D but without needing the 3D glasses. Like it's not at the level of like movies that are designed to be in 3D where it's like happening constantly and it gets really annoying. But it happens just enough where I'm like, was this supposed to be in 3D? Because this was in like the early 2000s, so that could have. Man, now I need to check. Actually, I need to know. This was in 3D. I'm looking up on my phone. Okay, well, the third one was available in 3D. That's not what I'm trying to look at. Okay, the third one was the first one specifically released in 3D. Okay, that's really interesting. Um, because this first one it just feels that way. But whatever, even ignoring some of those parts, this movie does a really good job with like the foreground and the background in terms of like where the characters are for stuff like that. I think it's really cool, honestly. I love the way it does that. And also just the movement speed for characters too, like especially with it's with a lot of the characters, but especially with Alex where they're moving like so fast around the screen. It's crazy. Okay, I guess this is longer than I thought. I just realized this is like half an hour. I thought this was gonna be shorter. Let me see. The part when they're escaping the zoo, that was also pretty fun. There's just so many fun side characters in this movie. Like the monkeys don't have a lot of time in it, but they're pretty funny. I never really found funny that old lady that always beats the shit out of Alex, and they bring her back. At least I remember for like the second one. I never really found her funny. I just still can't believe this movie has the penguins and the lemurs. Like King Julian and the lemurs are really funny, and so are the penguins. And like having this many funny side characters in this movie is pretty crazy. I'm assuming that the part when the Statue of Liberty that Alex ends up building, because they have like a like a Castaway joke in there, but I'm assuming the Statue of Liberty falling and Alex freaking out in front of it is supposed to be a Planet of the Apes reference. I haven't watched the Planet of the Apes movies in so long. I've never really seen the newer ones. But I've like the ones from the 2000s, but I've seen I grew up with the original ones from the 60s, because my parents had all of them on VHS for some reason, so I remember watching those when I was younger. Um, so you know, with the whole ending of one of those in the Statue of Liberty, and I just don't remember the line when that part of it happens, but I'm assuming that's what it's a reference. It had to be. Uh, there's one more thing. I'm trying to find it in here. Uh, and then I like that. What else? Maurice realizing that Alex is the only one, or only Maurice is the one that realizes that, like, or no, he doesn't realize it. He knows it from the beginning of, like, yeah, Alex is gonna eventually try to eat everyone. I forgot about the lemur's whole plan. It's King Julian specifically to befriend. I like that the group is called the New York Giants. Um, to befriend the New York Giants and to, you know, like the main characters, and to get them to defend them against the Fusa. But they're also just called freaks occasionally too. Like the goodbye sign literally says like goodbye freaks, and my dad and I laughed at that. My dad actually laughed at a lot of things in this movie, and we were talking about it when we finished it, and he was like, "This movie's so funny," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know," because we've seen it before. He watched it with me when I was younger and stuff, but it's been a while for both of us. And then I like that the credits, it's not specifically like the dance party ending. You know, it's like the end of a lot of kids movies where it's a party and they're all dancing. It's kind of like a trope at this point. Um but they're like it's not a party, but they're dancing in the credits. So I don't know if that technically counts, but I kind of prefer that over to like the end where the ending itself is them dancing and it's like a party. I just feel like it was more fun. I actually didn't know that Hans Zimmer did the music for this. I was looking at my dad was like, "Don't stop the DVD. We have to see." He wanted to know in the cast who played Skipper, and who played oh man, one of the other characters. I had to check for them, but there's like a ton of recognizable people. It's really weird for me too, because like I've watched a lot of movies with with Ben Stiller. You know, he voices Alex. Like when I think of his voice in my head, I always actually think of like Night at the Museum more than his other roles. But I also really like him in Zoolander. I feel like when he's like playing Alex, he kind of sounds more of the kind of roles of like in like Zoolander, where it's more of like a kind of sillier voice rather than like Night at the Museum, where it's probably just like his normal voice. But it's crazy. It's like I know it's him, but just watching him and listening to him, but his voice is coming out of this animated lion. I keep forgetting that it's him. I know that's like the whole point. He's like playing a character, but I didn't really that always like gets me whenever I watch that movie. It's kind of funny, but yeah, the voice acting in this movie is really good as well. I think that's half the thing that makes a lot of the jokes land is just the line delivery. Really, I feel like I could probably go on and on about this. Oh gosh, sorry, coughing fit there. I'm okay. I'm okay. I was getting a little too excited. I could go on and I could make, I'm not kidding, I could make like an entire video if I rewatch this movie tomorrow on all of my favorite jokes in this movie, but we're good here. You get my point. I love this movie. I don't know if this is still like my favorite DreamWorks movie. I'm only saying that because I have to check to see the list of DreamWorks movie, which I'm not going to. But I could easily say this is one of my favorites. But yeah, maybe I'll watch the second one. It depends, because if my dad wants to watch it, I have to wait until he's available for us to watch it together. If he doesn't, then I watch it by myself. But it's on Netflix, so I can do that. And then as for the third one, I know that's like the end of the trilogy. I'm not really interested in the circus concept. I don't care. But yeah, the second one I remember being kind of funny. They bring back some of the side characters. I mostly remember that like Moto character that everyone was like making memes about or something. There's probably more memes that come from that movie. I don't remember. I remember the Afro Circus thing from the third movie. I remember the hippo from the second movie. I don't know what the memes are for this movie actually. I feel like I probably should. Besides, I think the San Diego line is a meme. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.